It doesn't begin with a crash. It starts with a crack. An invisible fracture in the foundation of your home. You're 9 years old, and you see the walls starting to tilt. And in your small, ancient mind, you decide you're the only one who can fix it. You become an architect of the family, not with blueprints and steel, but with silence, with smiles, with tasks you were never meant to carry. You learn to make dinner before you know how to tie your shoes. You learn to listen to problems far too complex for your years. You become the builder of a facade, a seemingly perfect home that looks strong from the outside, but is hollow within. You do this because you have to. If you don't build this bridge, no one will. This isn't just about chores. This is a role reversal. It's a psychological phenomenon known as parentification, where a child is compelled to take on developmentally inappropriate parent or adult-like roles and responsibilities. This goes far beyond normal helping out, as it places a burden on the child that they are not emotionally or cognitively equipped to handle. It's a survival response to an unstable environment, and the world praises them for it. You're so mature, you're so responsible, you're so strong, but no one ever stops to ask, at what cost? The blueprint of survival. When dysfunction is the air you breathe, your nervous system accepts chaos as the baseline. Stillness feels wrong, peace feels suspicious, and love feels like a debt you'll have to repay. This observation has a basis in neuroscience. The persistent stress and trauma of parentification can have physiological consequences. Research shows that the chronic stress of adverse childhood experiences can actually shrink the hippocampus, the part of the brain that regulates memory, emotion, and stress management. This physiological change creates a heightened state of awareness and readiness for danger, a symptom known as hypervigilance. Your body is on red alert, scanning the environment for threats, whether real or imagined. This explains why, even in a safe and calm room, a parentified adult's body and mind can feel ill at ease or suspicious. The absence of chaos can be deeply unnerving because the brain has been conditioned to expect and prepare for it. You walk on eggshells, constantly aware of the emotional states of others. Your fear of the next crisis means you are constantly on guard, with a heightened startle reflex and an elevated heart rate and blood pressure. Psychologists identify two primary forms of this phenomenon. Instrumental parentification involves tangible, visible tasks like cooking, cleaning, managing finances, or caring for younger siblings. Emotional parentification is a more covert and often more insidious form where the child serves as a confidant, mediator, or emotional support for their parents. Research indicates that the emotional type can have a longer-lasting detrimental impact because it exceeds the child's developmental understanding and maturity. The child disappears psychologically, learning to smile more, cry less, and read the room before they speak. They become small adults long before their minds are ready, wearing a mask of competence so convincingly that even they forget it's there. The fractured foundation. The profound effects of parentification do not vanish with age. They are woven into the fabric of the adult's personality and behavior. The adult you become is a consequence of the child you were forced to be. Hyperindependence. The armored self. One of the most common manifestations is hyperindependence, a trauma response where an individual refuses to ask for or accept help. This is a direct consequence of the childhood role. As a child, their sense of value and safety was tied to their self-sufficiency. Asking for help would have signaled weakness and threatened the stability they had worked so hard to maintain. This survival strategy becomes a core part of their adult identity, leading them to refuse help, push people away, or never feel truly safe in love. Hyperindependence is not a sign of strength. It is a fear-based response born from a deep-seated fear of being a burden or being abandoned. The struggle with boundaries and people-pleasing. Parentified adults often struggle with setting and maintaining emotional boundaries, a skill they were never allowed to develop. Saying no can feel like a betrayal of their role as caregiver, leading to feelings of guilt and shame around expressing their own needs. This often leads to a pattern of people-pleasing, where they feel they must derive their sense of worth from making others happy. This behavior is rooted in the fear of rejection or abandonment that defined their childhood. As a result, they may frequently find themselves in one-sided, codependent relationships where they overfunction, always fixing, managing, and over-explaining, only to feel resentful and emotionally depleted. The path back to the self. The good news is that these are not personality traits. They are coping strategies. And what was learned can be unlearned. The first step to healing isn't fixing, it's witnessing. You must go back and hold the hand of the child you buried and say what no one else ever said. You didn't deserve that. You were just a child. You get to rest now. This is the beginning of shadow work. Not fixing, not performing, not bypassing the pain with fake positivity, but turning toward the abandoned parts of yourself and saying, I see you now. I hear you now, and I'm not leaving. It's a brutal process because it asks you to feel the grief you never had time to feel. It asks you to sit with the rage, the sorrow, the unmet needs, to mourn the innocence you lost while protecting people who should have protected you. You can start to give yourself what you never got. Ask your inner child, what did I need back then that I never got? You may hear answers like, I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault. I needed to play, rest, and laugh without fear. And slowly, you can begin to give those things to yourself. This is how you stop seeking parents in your partners. This is how you stop mistaking anxiety for intuition. This is how you stop running from the child you were and the self you're becoming. The work of psychologists like Gregory J. Jurkovich, author of Lost Childhoods, The Plight of the Parentified Child, and books like Parentification, Bearing Adulthood Too Soon by Nellie Hughes, are paving the way for this understanding. They provide the framework for understanding, healing, and breaking free from the cycle of over-responsibility. You were never broken. You're becoming whole. And for the first time, you're finally growing up the right way. Not through pressure, not through fear, but through truth. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And this time, you get to build it for yourself.